To begin with, Qlikview, as you know, is basically a server-client architecture. Okay, server. There is a server and there is a desktop client. Okay, so server is mainly used for hosting all the files, and this is where the users connect to the server and access. So they get all their reports, all their analysis, and all of those things. Desktop client is mainly used for development. Okay, it is installed on local machine. See, the end users don't need any client, so there is no installation on their machine. So you get a desktop client, you do the development, you install it on a local machine. I mean, desktop client is on a local machine. Now what happens is, so a desktop client also has a license. Now the difference between a license and a personal edition is all the functionalities are same. All the functionalities between licensed and the personal edition are same. The only difference is in a licensed edition, you will be able to share QEWs, share files. I'll say project files. In a personal edition, you will not be able to share files. So whatever you develop on a particular computer will be, I mean, you can access it on that computer. Suppose somebody else, like I create a file, or somebody else creates a file and sends it to you, you will not be able to open it in a personal edition. So that is the only difference. But if you develop it on a personal edition and share it with a person who has a license edition, he will be able to access your file. So ideally what you can do is you can do development on a personal edition, and later when you get a license, you can actually move it to a production or licensed version. But functionality wise, development wise, capability wise, everything is the same. The advantage over here is, I mean, when you have a licensed edition, you can easily open files created by other users. In my opinion, you don't really need a licensed edition to practice or learn. So you can very well work with personal edition. My files that I used during the training, I will demonstrate how you could use that, or how you could use the internal data or scripting from that files. So these are the things that I would be sharing with you. I mean, coming back to Qlikview, there are four main file types: QEW, QED, QES, and QEX. Or let me put it this way: QES, QEX. Okay. QEW is the main file type in Qlikview. QEW is the main file type in Qlikview. Whatever you do is done in Qlikview, in QEW. So this is the file that will have script in it, will have data in it, will have UI in it. This is the file used for extraction. This is the file used for ETL also, right? Anything and everything you do will be done on QEW. This is the file which will go on server, and this is the file which users will access on the server. Okay, I'm talking about the file type. It is not a single file. I'm telling it's about the file types. So you can have multiple QEWs. So in a project or in an organizational deployment, generally there will be multiple QEWs. Now each QEW can have various kinds of data in it, various kinds of UI, various kinds of extraction process. So there is no limitation as such in Qlikview that you need to have one file, two file, or whatever number of. So you can have n number of QEWs. But whatever you do in Qlikview, you'll end up doing it in a QEW. Like in Excel, in Microsoft Office, right? So whatever data you do or processing you do, you end up doing it in Excel, right? It's like that. So this file is the main file type that you do everything in this file. QED, whereas, is a storage file. It is used to store data. It's a flat file. It is stored on a hard disk. Computer hard disk. So there is no database, there is no nothing. So it's a proprietary storage format which has a compression ratio of 1:10 times. So if data is 1 GB, the compressor QED will compress it to 1:10 times. It is easily, the best part of the QED is it can be created by QEW or used or accessed by QEW. QED is just a storage file. You will not be working too much on QED. You will create QED, you will store data in it, You'll use the data for analysis, but there's nothing much that you would be working in a QEW. So it will always be a QEW. You'll not be working on a QED. You'll always be working on a QEW. QEX is also a storage file. It will have data in it. It is stored in on hard disk. This also compresses data 1:10 times. Everything is same between QED and QEX, but the advantage of QEX is it can be created by third-party clients. Now these third-party clients are nothing but applications like Informatica. Informatica is a ETL solution. So when I say ETL, it is basically extracting data from a particular source, transforming data, and loading it to a database. So that's the ETL full form: extract, transform, load. Now, Informatica and all are specific products for ETL. So if you have that products, then those products can actually create QEX, which can directly be used in Qlikview. And the last file is a Qlikview script file. This file is used to store common script which can be reused. So generally everybody asks in Qlikview, how do you reuse script or what do you do? So basically you can use QES, store the script and reuse it. So these are the main 4 file types that are there in Qlikview, project cycle. So whatever you would be working, you'd be working within these 4 file types. Mostly QEW and QED, sometimes QES, and if you are working with Informatica and other applications, QEX. So these are the different file types. Now, starting off with how Qlik works. I was not speaking during that time. So if you look at how Qlikview works is, it's like this. So let's say you have a database, and let's say this is Qlikview. Or like I said, whatever you do in Qlikview, you would be doing it in QEW. Let's say this is QEW. Right? So this is a QEW. A simple logic is a QEW will connect to the database, or it should be the other way around. Will connect to a database, extract the data, and like I said, this will have the script to extract data. This will have UI, or more than that, this will have data in it. This will have UI in it, and it will be this. This is the file that users will access. So if I have to say users, this is the file that users will access. Okay. It goes onto the server. Don't worry about the server and all. Server and all is not really. I'm talking about the concept. The concept is you have a database, you have a QEW file. It will connect to database, extract data, and this QEW will be put on a server, and you'll be able to, users will be able to access this. Now this database can be any database. Okay, it can connect to multiple data sources. You can bring it from Excel, you can bring it from Word. You can bring it from database, ERP solutions, data warehouse, Notepad, web, anything. So you can bring that. Within a QEW, you can write all the scripting, all the processing of data, and then have the UI in it. If I put it across, this is the simple architecture. So this is the concept, very basic concept. So now what happens is, in an organization, I'm sure you would be knowing, so in every organization, there will be multiple data sources, right? One is multiple data sources, and this database itself alone can have huge amounts of data. So every day there will be a lot of data, and this is a transaction. It can be a transactional DB also. So basically, ERP is nothing but it will be a data where every day there will be transactions, there will be data increase. Now, every time a QEW refreshes, it will always do a full reload. That means, suppose I want to load data for, say, last 2 years. Okay, I load it the first day. It will extract the data for 2 years. Okay. Second day, I again have to load the data for the new day, right? So the latest for that particular day. So when I do a reload, what it will do is it will again extract the entire data for 2 years plus the current day. So day after tomorrow, again it will extract the 2 years, again do it. So this QEW will always do a full reload. It will always extract a complete data from database. Now doing that every day is a challenge. It actually puts unnecessary load on the database. So which is not a best practice and should not be allowed. So what Qlikview did was, they brought an interim storage format, and that's what we call that as QEDs. Okay, so an interim storage format called QED. Okay, so QEDs are nothing but storage files. So from the DB, data will be extracted to QEDs. Okay, it will be stored in QEDs. From the QEDs, then the Qlikview file will be fetched. Qlikview file will fetch the data. Right. So this whole thing will be the same thing. So still, this QEW will have the extractor, will have the UI, and the users will access this file. So all of these things will be there in this QEW. But there will be an intermediate layer called QED. So that's why we have the QED file format. Now what is QED? Like I said, flat file. It just stores data. Now how do QEDs work, or what exactly do QEDs do? So QEDs, if your database has, let's assume, has multiple tables, table 1, table 2, I have table 6. Now in a QED, what you do is, in a QED layer, you'll create QEDs for individual files. QED 1, which will have data from table 1, QED 2, which will have data from QED table 2. Right? It will be one-to-one. So I'll extract data, store it. The reason why we are storing it is, whenever I want to do a QEW reload, right, it will always do a full reload. That means it will always extract all the data. Suppose, like I said, 2 years, it will extract 2 years data. Now, if my data is there in QEDs, QEW will interact with QEDs and extract the data. And QEDs being compressed and highly optimized, the reload cycle between a QED and a QEW is super low. So basically, the QEW will use data from QEDs quickly and create the file. Now what happens here is, from the database, we will bring incremental load, incremental data. The idea of incremental data is, first day I extracted 2 years data from table 1, stored it into QED 1. Okay. Second day, I will just extract the second day data from table 1, add it to QED 1. So I'm creating an intermediate storage process wherein I am doing the incremental load. So the required new data is taken from table and stored it into QEDs. One by one, so you can have multiple tables, you can have multiple QEDs. Now, the end of QEW will quickly read from this file and it will process the data. Right. So there is this incremental data that the QEDs will do, and from the QEDs, this will do. Now, a lot of people will tell me that, a question that might come is, where single step will take lesser time, and when it is 2-step, generally it should take a longer time. So it is the other way around. So what happens is, like I said, QEDs are highly optimized. So when the QEW reads data from QED, it is within seconds. So it generally loads data very fast. Now the advantage over here is, so let's say first day from table 1. So the extraction from table 1 to QED, first day took 30 minutes to load it to a QED. Okay. So QED 1 was created in 30 minutes. So it took 30 minutes to create 2 years of data. So when I say 2 years of data, let's quantify the data. Let's assume 1 lakh records. Okay, 1 lakh records took 30 minutes into a QED. Now from the QED to this QEW, it would take hardly like 1 minute or something. Okay, so that's the compression and that's the optimization. So total time for the first day was 30 minutes plus 1 minute. That was around 31 minutes. Second day, I will get only 500 records. Okay. Now 500 records will get added to QED1. So what will happen is this 30 minutes will just take 3 minutes. Now QED1 will be created within 3 minutes. I mean, with the old 2 years data plus the day 500 records, it will be created within 3 minutes on the second day. Now on the second day, this file will take again 1 minute. So on my second day, the reload time will be 3 plus 1, 4 minutes. So actually 31 minutes was the regular if I just do a single direct reload. If I do a QED incremental load, it will just take me 4 minutes to refresh the entire data. So that's the optimization level that we can achieve. So let's get started with the desktop client. So once you install the desktop client, you'll have the desktop client something like this, where you can launch the desktop client. Qlikview desktop client. So a desktop client has various, I mean, on the UI you'll have all these learning resources, all of these things. You can start off with a new file. The file new. So you started off a new file. This is a wizard. Just cancel this, and you land into a plain canvas. First step is always save the file. Okay. So I'll just pick the folder that I want to save. I'll go save as and save this file. Alright, so I have this file now saved. Now I'll start off. Now if you see this file, I can create any UI, charts, graphs, everything. But our first step, if you remember in our architecture, is to extract data. Right? So you extract data into the QEW or the QEDs. Now the biggest question is, how are QEDs created? So like if you remember, like I said, QEDs can be created only by a QEW. That means I'll have to use a QEW file, like now what I have opened, session1.qew, and I have to create QED using this file. So what I can do is, I can go to file, I can go to edit script. So this will take me to the script editor, where I will have all the UI, where I can write the scripting. Now there are different methods of connecting data in Qlikview. Like I actually told you that Qlikview can connect to any data source. So there is no challenge. I mean, there's absolutely no challenge connecting to any data source. Now the main two types of data connectivities to any, majorly most of the data sources, is Odbc and OLEDB. Okay, these are the two major connectivities. These are very generic, and these are not anything specific to Qlikview. These are generic connectivities which are available most of outside also. Most of the applications, even when you query and all, you do Odbc or OLEDB. Right? So these are generic. These are not specific to Qlikview. So you can use these generic connectivity methods to any data source. So what you can do is, so to do a Odbc connectivity, you'll have to have a System Dsn in place. So you'll have to create a System Dsn. Let's say if you go to a search panel and say Odbc, it will give you an option of setup data sources, Odbc data sources. You can select one of that. I mean, it will take you to this data source administrator panel. Over here you have user DSN. You can go to System DSN and create DSN. A DSN is a method which you can describe which database to connect, which server to connect, and what are the, you can pass the credentials. So basically you start off with add the System DSN. I'll select SQL server because that's where I'm going to connect. Say finish. You'll have to give the SQL server name. So that I will just take it from the SQL server that is installed. I was waiting for the application to open. So I take this SQL server. Take this. say next. You can just say next and create a system DSN. So a system DSN will be created. If you test it, it says test completed successfully. Now once the system DSN is created, you can go back to Qlikview, select ODBC, say connect. Now this will connect, it will give you an option of all the system DSNs over what I created. So I can choose which I have created. So I created one today, that's 6/21/2016. I can pass my credentials and connect with the system DSN. So Qlikview automatically creates a connection string to this SQL server. Once the connection string is done, the next step is selecting the tables that I want to extract. So ideally, once I've connected, I'll hit select, and it will connect to the database and give me all the tables that are available. Person, production, purchasing. So I can pick on sales. Pick on which table I want to. The moment I select the table here, on the right hand side I get all the fields that I want to, that I can access. I can choose all the fields that I want to. Right. The moment I am selecting fields, you can see here the script is being generated. Now the sales order header script will be generated. Similarly, I can add, so ideally I can write entire script in this one tab, or I can write multiple tabs. So I can add a second tab. So I can say rename this as sales. So over here there will be a second tab which will be created. So I can write new script in the second tab also. This enables you to split your script into multiple tabs for better debugging or better code management. I can say sales order detail. I can select the fields that I want to extract. Once I've extracted these tables, I can, so I'm just renaming them. So if you don't put a name to the table, Qlikview will by default put a name, sales order header, whatever default name. If you want a specific name, you can apply a specific name of here. Same is for sales order detail. You can hit save. Now, while I've connected to two tables, I can just hit reload. What Qlikview will do is it will connect to the SQL server, extract these two database tables. So from sales order header, you saw it extracted 31,000. Sales order detail, it extracted 1,21,000.
Can we pull data from procedure also, or it is possible to pull data only from table?
You want to extract data from where?
Procedure, stored procedure.
No, oh no, only from table. Table or view, stored procedure you can't.
If some data are present in one database like DB2 and some tables are stored in a Sybase, then how can you pull those data?
You asked something about Sybase, but I don't know what the question is.
I want to pull, like I'm working with Crystal report, where we pull data from multiple sources like Sybase, DB2 and all. So here, how can we do that?
Here also you can do that. So that's what I was showing. So this is the first session. Ideally, I'm going step by step. So right now I'm showing you the SQL DB. So over here you can use other connectivities. For DB2, it is again, you get the DB2 Odbc connector. You can install that and use Odbc connectivity to DB2. Likewise, you can extract data from multiple data sources. If you see this architecture, right, over here, see, you can have multiple QEDs. These QEDs can come from different data sources. Tables can come from one data source. These three tables can come from a different data source. So you can extract data from multiple data sources, store it and use it.
We can use join to get data from those tables.
Very much, yes.
But we can't use procedures and all. Only tables and views can be used here.
You can't. You can replicate the procedures in Qlikview, but you can't directly read data from a procedure result. But you can rewrite the procedure here only, right? So once you have all the data, so whatever procedure logic is there, just apply it here and rewrite it over. It's the script. If you see, it's modified SQL, and you can write. So SQL select start, right? It's all modified SQL. You can easily write this and read it. So likewise, I can extract data from these two tables, and I can do it. So the next step is storing data into QEDs, and you can use. I'll also show you OLEDB and all. So what I could actually do is I will share the links for downloading the installables, and you can decide install it, and probably in my next session I'll continue with how do we store these tables into QEDs and do it. Yeah, I don't want to discuss too many things without you having able to redo it on your systems unless you have the installations.